It's ridiculously detailed. It's gorgeous. That level design is flawless. Only a couple technical issues, like I said, with the frame rate, some of the combat bugs. What's that? Mouse and keyboard. No, I'm talking about Dark Souls. There's no level design in Skyrim. No. Dark Souls. It's true. Yeah. No. Skyrim, it's got mouse and keyboard issues. Fuck you for making a PC game that you need to use a controller with. Well, no, I don't mind it having some, like Meat Boy plays better on an Xbox controller. But, you know.
In fact, it tells you when you turn it on, it says, use the fucking controller, don't be an idiot, basically.
I'm surprised you didn't say Binding of Isaac somewhere in there, dude.
Oh, you mean in terms of my games of the year? Trust me, I had to cut out a lot of games, dude. I had to cut out fucking Trenched. I had to cut out The Witcher, Gears 3, 6 Vs, which I love the shit out of.
Oh, that game's so good.
I mean, and then for me, Dead Space 2. 3D Dot Game Heroes was amazing. Red Dead Redemption, I beat this year. Like, the list goes fucking on forever.
It's been a fantastic
Halo Reach, I beat this year. Like, there are so many, and not only that, but I mean, since this was the year that I decided I was gonna, beat games instead of fucking around and not finishing a whole bunch of stuff, so I beat fucking 42 games this year. Like, I had a lot of shit to pick from. A lot of old stuff, a lot of new stuff. I mean, there's so many games in here that were just. Infamous this year was amazing.
Yes.
I beat Infamous. Enslaved. I didn't say a fucking word about it. Enslaved.
Oh.
And how good a game was that? But
Enslaved is so fucking good.
oh yeah, I have one question for you. So
What's that, sir?
Since Demon Souls and Dark Souls are probably your two favorite games of the last decade or so.
Yeah.
What would you say? Which did you like better? Because I feel like Dark Souls maybe is a lot better and had a more engrossing world because you kind of had this continual world instead of these levels you jumped into.
Yeah.
But also, Demons introduced you to this, and that was the first time you really had this sort of this engrossing combat experience, and it really got you into like.
Well, I mean that's something I've been thinking about quite a bit. One thing I'm trying to remain cognizant of when I think about it is, you know how I always talk about like Asheron's Call and how I still think it's like the greatest MMO like ever because of things like the character.
Yeah, I know how much you love that game
and all this other kind of stuff. The fact is, when you have a game-changing experience like that, a game as a gamer, that is a life-changing kind of experience. Your first MMO, your first real play, the first time you played Super Mario Brothers, the first time you played Legend of Zelda, all this other kind of stuff. That shit changed the fundamentals of how you felt about game design and about games in general. And it's the same way with Demon Souls. So I try to keep in my head, I try to be cognizant of that and think about, am I feeling this way because it was my first time or because I actually feel it was better? I still prefer Demon Souls at this point. Dark Souls is a fantastic game. And it's right there up with it. But I really like the level-based structure and how each area, had its own theme and its own feel. And you just progress through it. And it's the same way in Dark Souls. It's just all connected together and loops back in on each other throughout the entire game, which is fantastic, and I love it to death. Particularly now that I've got the ability to warp between bonfires. That helps a touch.
Oh yeah.
But Demon Souls, the community in that game, for what a lot of people feel is not even multiplayer, for a single player game, that's the most social friendly game I've ever played. Ever.
It's really sort of reinventing what it is to be a multiplayer game. Like the MMO reinvented a multiplayer by having a massive persistent universe. Well, this is sort of a massive persistent meta universe that you go through via the internet or via, finding, the notes and stuff written within the game. Like everything's very, its tendrils expand out quite a bit, but it's not like you're physically in front of another person. Like you see an afterthought of someone.
Yeah,
and it's very interesting how that works.
Just to kind of put it in perspective, and I don't know if this is an Xbox Live versus PSN thing or what, because I played, Demon Souls obviously is only on PS3. I've got Dark Souls on 360. You can write messages in both games to try to help people out and do all this. And when somebody rates a message positively, in Demon Souls, it would heal you up if you were hurt. In Dark Souls, it gives you 1 humanity, which...
Right, the humanity points, right.
Whenever they do that. In my entire time playing Dark Souls, I've had 1 message rated positively. 1.
Jesus.
1.
It's kind of harsh.
Yeah. And you'll look at almost all the messages around. Very, very few of them actually have ratings on them. Very few. It just seems like the community is a lot more insular in Dark Souls.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, and I don't know if it's just in Dark Souls or if it's on Xbox.
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't know if it's an Xbox Live versus PSN issue, like I said, but that's the way it is at this point. So
yeah, that's unfortunate.
Whereas in Demon Souls, I would have messages. I would just kind of play out little helpful things like, "Hey, there's treasure over here," or "Watch out, there's a boulder," that kind of thing. And somebody would just run through, and by that time, most everybody knew what was going on. But they would see it and say, "Oh, this person's trying to help," and they would rate it up. Boom, easy peasy.
There you go. Done. Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, literally, I've got it down to a science in Dark Souls. Every message I see, unless it's being blatantly obnoxious
or lying to
or
you,
lying,
you,
I rate it, because I've got it down to literally less than a second to get that shit done. And it's easy. I mean, they've made it even easier with this last patch. You go up, you read a message, you hit select, and you press plus. That's all you got to do. Before, you actually had to select your soapstone, go into it, hit rate message, and then press plus. And I've got that down so quick that it's quicker for me to do that than to hit the back button and rate it. Anyway, but yeah, my preference right now, and mind you, I still haven't finished my first playthrough of Dark Souls, and I've been playing it since the day it launched, folks. I take my fucking time. We
got a lot of characters. You get a little ADD in a game like that.
I do, but I've got only 2 tunes that really have a significant amount of playtime on them. I've got 2 characters that have right around 40 hours on them each. Maybe one of them's pushing 50 now, something like that. Don't scoff at me.
Scoffing at the fact that you hated on Dragon Age for being too long, and now you've got 2 tunes.
I know. It's fucking ridiculous. She's like, "You hated on Dragon Age for being too long." I'm like, "Yeah, I fucking know. This is when I said game changing, fucking game changing."
What he really means is Paul changing.
Paul changing, yeah. Me changing. Game changing for my
Change
head.
the game within
Game changing
me.
for my head, motherfuckers. So, thank you, FromSoft. You motherfuckers are amazing. Thank you, Valve. You motherfuckers are amazing.
Yeah.
And
we really have had a bounty of amazing games this year.
we have.
And we have, you and I have, there's a lot of shit we haven't even gotten to. And by the way, a game you didn't even mention once at all was Deus Ex.
I know.
And that's another baller game this year, and I haven't
Deus
gotten
Ex.
that game.
So
There's so, I've got sitting here, unwrapped because I'm not going to play them yet. I've got so much other shit, but I got, good deals. Like before Christmas, I got Rayman Origins for like I got $20 off on it, whatever the fuck that had amounted to being, $40 or $30 or something.
Like that, yeah.
And then I got DJ Hero from Amazon for like $25.
Right on. So that's our favorite game of the year edition. Thank you for tuning in. We appreciate it.
Yes. Thank you, guys.
Keep an eye on this.
Merry
chat.
Christmas or Happy Kwanzaa or Happy Go Fuck Yourself.
Happy birthday!
Happy birthday!
Keep an eye on this channel.
Absolutely.
Right,
and we will see you next
right
year.
here, motherfuckers. Subscribe.
In the 2012, the last year of ever.
The last year of ever. Yeah, that's just what I mean. I'll be playing Dark Souls until the end of the world in a year. So.
It's about right. It's about.
Okie doke.
All right, guys. Peace out.
Later.